Hello folks, welcome back to the channel. How are you doing? Please let me know in the comments below. Anyway, this video is all about VR motion sickness. And yeah, I'm going to give you my 5 top tips on what I think may be able to help if you are suffering from this problem. And it might be reassuring to know that I absolutely suffered from motion sickness when I first started VR. So don't worry if you're suffering from this same problem, because it's very common. And in fact, it's quite strange it's called motion sickness, because it's not motion that's causing you to feel ill. It's actually the fact that your brain is getting confused because it thinks it's moving but your body isn't. So it causes a conflict. In fact, if anything, I would say having a motion rig helps motion sickness. But anyway, that's not my top tip because that's very expensive. The things I'm going to suggest are very simple and you can do at home. Right, anyway, let's now take off from Birmingham. We're heading to Glasgow in the Citation today. I'm going to try and do this from the outside view to give you a nice view, and it's not very easy actually. So keep on the runway, there we go. Beautiful views. Roger that. Oh, I'll tell you what folks, VR is the only way to fly. Forget your wraparound 8K curved monitors. You're not going to beat VR. So my first tip, if you've just bought your VR headset, and I know you're going to want to do like all the crazy things that you're looking forward to, like experience the thrill of a fighter jet or a roller coaster or a first-person shooter. But for the love of God, don't do any of that. Just get to grips with VR. If you've got, say, a Meta headset, their tutorials are very, very good and give you a first glimpse into VR, like remember the robot thing? That was amazing. That was the first thing I ever did in VR, was meet that robot. And it blew my mind. It absolutely did. And this is the point. Your first experience in VR is the one you're going to remember. Particularly your brain is going to make a decision whether VR is a safe thing or not for you. It's just like anything, you know, our brains, our body is designed to remember trauma. And if you experience a horrible VR session and you're sick, the first thing you're going to think about when you're in VR again is feeling sick. Makes sense, doesn't it? You know, when I was a kid, I used to hate being on coaches. And I think that was because of one trip, my first ever trip, where I just was sick as a dog. So even now, when I go on a really big coach, I just feel a little bit like of anxiety, just knowing that I might feel bad, which is hilarious because I love doing aerobatics in real life. So please take it easy. That is my first tip. Only spend 5, maybe 10 minutes in VR. Just fly around your local airport in a Cessna. You know, don't do any crazy maneuvers, just be very, very gentle. Do that for about a week. I know it might seem boring, but VR is no joke, guys. Just like in real life with flying, you just need to adapt to something very, very new. Number 2 is keep cool in VR. That's very, very important. And also listen to your body. If you become hot and clammy all of a sudden, your body is trying to tell you that it's not very comfortable and, you know, you must stop the experience. Don't get too hot in VR. And if there's no reason why you should be getting hot other than the temperature, you know, say it's a really hot day, then something isn't right, okay? Maybe your IPD isn't right, or perhaps, you know, your body is it's just had enough and you need a break. I would recommend, if possible, pointing a fan at your sort of sim space. You know, it doesn't have to be directly in your face, but that cold brush of air will make a difference. And in fact, I have to say the Vario Aero and Pico 4 has a really nice fan built into the headset which keeps you feeling refreshed. That's really important, guys. So definitely invest in a fan and yeah, keep cool in VR. And if you find yourself getting hot and clammy for any reason, just take a break. My third tip for VR motion sickness is get lens inserts. It is absolutely important to have blue light filters on your VR lenses. I'm a huge advocate for that, because what it means is there's less harmful light getting into your eyes. It's not going to hurt your eyes, but it might make them tired, and tiredness will induce motion sickness without a doubt. Not to mention it helps with insomnia as well. If you do enjoy late night VR sessions like I have in the past, you'll notice that you'll sleep better with blue light filters. Definitely. Tip number 4, make sure you're getting a decent performance in your flight simulator. FPS, frame rate, it's so important, and it's the number one thing that we all hate in VR, since, it is a very difficult technology for our computers to run, even top-end computers like mine. A 4090, you still need to tune it. I would highly recommend that you try and get over 40 frames per second. I mean, I've said in the past 30 frames per second is okay, but I think for most people 45 frames per second, or ideally 60 frames per second, is best, because if you're down at say 20 frames per second and you're doing, banks and high G turns and stuff, it's going to really make you feel sick. Even me, low frame rate is definitely a no-go. So lower your settings in VR. Don't be afraid to lower them, because it's still going to look absolutely fantastic in VR. My last tip is quite a funny one, because most of us VR users want more field of view. They crave it, and I get that. However, the wider your field of view, the more likelihood you're going to suffer from motion sickness, because you can sense the speed and movement in VR. So if, motion sickness is something that you're really struggling with, and you've tried all the other things I've suggested, then I would recommend getting a headset with a lower field of view, or even, let's say you've got a Meta Quest 2, you can use the tray tool to significantly reduce the field of view. I think you can do that in the OpenXR toolkit as well. I'm not sure. Let me have a look here. You won't see this on the screen, but let me have a look. I think there is a way of removing the field of view. Yes, there is. You can do that. That's really cool. The OpenXR toolkit is such an amazing piece of software, isn't it? So yeah, whatever headset you have, so long as you're in OpenXR mode, you can decrease the field of view. I'd also say IPD measurement is very, very important. Get it measured at your local opticians, because that can also induce sickness if it's not set correctly. So really, they are my 5 top tips on how to mitigate motion sickness, but I'm sure you've got some as well that's worked for you, so please do let me know in the comments below. I'm going to continue on to Glasgow. Thank you so much for watching, as always. I truly appreciate it. Please feel free to subscribe, and I'll see you again very soon. Take care, and bye for now.